and excuse the opening deep voice that I use, but a running bit is my radio voice. Feel free to make fun of it.
Live your fucking wildest dreams right now, Shay.
Thank you. Can I put that in the show?
Yes.
Okay.
You actually can.
Here we are, and welcome to another episode of the Friday Night Movie Podcast. We will not be asking my sisters, and definitely not me, because no one ever asked me how I'm doing, because we're going to cut straight to our guest, the newest member of our family, whether she likes it or not. You've heard us talk about her many times because we're just fans. Actor, singer, songwriter, comedian, influencer, if you may recall from our influenced video that Becky and I did where we drank the Olipop, the legendary Jackie Tohn. Jackie Tohn, welcome to the Friday Night Movie.
Wow. You guys, thank you so much. It feels like I'm not clapping for myself. I'm clapping for that stellar intro. And also, I want to say in the future, and this is for everybody who also has a podcast who's listening, if I can trouble you in the future to always lead with influencer, the most important thing about me.
Okay.
We are heavily influenced by you, so we agree.
Yeah. It is funny because I hashtag everything anytime I post something for a company because, and I don't get paid. I've never been paid to do any of that stuff. By the way, would love to. I'm not saying I don't do it because whatever. So no people to send me stuff that I like, and I'm just like, oh, I want to post that. Like this company, it's generally like indie brands, women-run brands, and I'm just like, oh hell yeah, I like this thing, and so I want to post about it. And I can't tell you the amount of message every time I do it. I posted, some guy sent me a mask and it saved me over the pandemic. It was the best mask. And I'm just a very effusive New York Jew. And I'm like, I posted a thing. I'm like, it's breathable. It's washable. You can fit a filter. It's adjustable. It's the best fabric. And I was going on about it, turning into my mother. And I'm telling you, I sold thousands. But I didn't mean to. I just was like,
nice of you though.
I just
like
what I just
of you.
And the guy was like a random dude who made these masks, and they happen to be. And every company was gifting you these shitty ones where you're like, it's like a suit brand, so they use their fabric to make a mask. Well, I don't want to wear a mask made out of a suit. This was this is a flawed plan.
I mean, that must feel so good because nothing drives me crazier than when I recommend something to people and they don't follow the recommendation.
I got to tell you something, a little bit about me. I give a shit. You make your own bed, honey. If I give you a good recommendation and you don't follow it, I had the ear without the mic in. Very smart. I couldn't care less if you follow my recommendation.
That's why you're you.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here with my fake
with
Zoom
the virtual background.
That's right. With the Canary Islands to my right.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about. So I'm going to start with the best leftovers ever, but specifically because we watched the show, we've heard you talk about it, and one of the things that we love hearing about, and frankly had a big impact on me recently is when you talk about the influence of your mother, because our mother is the most frequent guest on our show. She's the most beloved guest. All her episodes get
It's a little weird that she's not here right now, but it's fine.
It is a little weird.
I mean, knowing how much I am obsessed with a Jewish mother, a mishpacha fela, you're going to leave me in the dark of all guests.
She's a
Cuban Jewish mother.
She's a Cuban Jewish mother.
Oh yeah, she's extra
she
special.
She takes it up a notch.
Wait a minute. That's a level of sauce that I was not prepared for.
It is.
Oh, yeah.
It is.
She's very saucy.
She makes it Jewish.
There's platanos with your gefilte fish in our family.
Yeah.
And
I mean, not literally. I don't think I've ever eaten those two.
Is she Cuban because of World War II?
Pre-World War II. People forget about how much people hated the Jews before World War II also. So.
Funny, I was just talking to my friend about this last night, and my family was in Poland during that misery until World War II.
Right.
So your family at least went to Cuba before that.
The ones
that
who
left. Not
correct.
Everybody else, no.
Got exterminated?
Yeah.
Yes, same. But my obviously my grandparents got out. Otherwise, there would be no me. but they got out and their parents didn't and their sister didn't.
Oh yeah, and we have so many of those stories, and I wish I had been keying into that a little bit more, because forever our mother comes to my house and she'll always show up to my house with whatever is left over in her fridge. So she comes to visit for the weekend down from Philly with half an avocado.
Stop.
Here's some old sour cream.
Because she's like, if I kept it in the fridge over the weekend, it was going to go
It was
bad.
gonna go bad.
I mean,
like here's half
God
a
forbid she
mealy
get
tomato.
home. God forbid she get home and just toss the mealy tomato.
No, Jackie, she
That's a
once came
break.
to visit me in Berkeley and packed a cooler with the lox that was left in her fridge because she didn't.
From Philadelphia.
so
She drove it down.
No, she
No,
flew.
they flew from Philly
No,
to California.
I
and
forgot
she-
you're not on the East Coast.
Well, when
Well, she
I was living
yeah.
on the West Coast, now
She
I'm on the
just
East Coast, but
moved.
when I was living on the West Coast, she flew to California to visit me with a cooler packed with the leftovers from her fridge, including like a little Tupperware lox.
and
that
so
was
we
her
have-
carry-on. That was
we
her
have-
carry-on.
oh
That
yeah,
was her
I'm going to die.
we've made fun of this so many times. And then I'm listening to you on your conversations that you've had about Best Leftovers Ever, talking about how your family, were refugees and how that's one of the reasons why they saved all the food. And I told Lily and Becky, I'm like, ooh, I'm starting to feel really guilty for the hard time we've made.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
Definitely.
we're dealing with people who in their childhood had to,
Right.
you can't even say make lemons out of, make
make
lemons
matzo
into
balls out of
lemonade.
soggy dough.
Yeah,
I mean,
because nobody had lemons. I mean,
Yeah.
they didn't have fresh
Right.
fruit. That wasn't a thing. My grandma went to the store. She got like a loaf of rye bread and a chicken, and that lasted them as long as it could possibly last them. They used the chicken bones for everything.
Right.
And I've told this story on other shows, but my one time when my mom came home, there was like just a chicken carcass in the refrigerator, and it was nothing on it. And it was my mom had bought something and she wanted to put that in the refrigerator. So she threw it out, and her mother came home and like ripped her a new asshole because she was like, that's my chicken. And my mom was like, there's no chicken on it. She was like, and they eat the marrow. They did everything. everything.
My mom,
Oh, yeah.
my sucks the inside
Crack
of those
bones open.
dry.
Mm-hmm.
So
So
speaking of leftovers, we want to reach into your first best leftovers ever is on Netflix. It's amazing. It stars Jackie Tohn. Everyone knows we love it, but everyone should watch it.
It's
We loved it so
favorite.
much in our family. We made our own home episode,
I can't.
which I don't
Hosted by Tolly.
hosted by Tolly.
Sickening.
And so we wanted to play our signature game. Get you really warmed up in the family here. It's called Buy, Rent, or Meh. Okay, I think it's buy, rent, or meh. It's really made for us kids who were raised in the 80s and 90s because you'd buy a movie that you really like you'd go spend $80.
Okay, because I was like, what's it based on? Because I'm like trying to think. I'm like, well, with houses, that's something you would want to buy, you'd want to rent or meh. But I was like,
it's like a video store.
It's a video
of a
store
house.
because
Okay.
it's like a movie. You
metaphor.
rent something that you like, but maybe you're only going to have once, and then meh. We give that's really an artistic interpretation.
Sure.
You get to, but the rules are you need to ascribe one value to each one of these. So you can't buy all three things. You got to buy one, meh one, and
Rent
one. So we picked three. Now there are lots of great Jewish foods, and these are actually great Jewish foods as far as we're concerned. But they are, let's say, if you're an outsider, some that seem a little more unappetizing.
And
so
these might not be great for leftovers, so we made it hard.
Okay. So buy, rent, or meh the following three Jewish leftovers: chopped liver. So it's been in the fridge, right? So it's been in the fridge. Chopped liver, gefilte fish, and I don't know if you ever had this.
If you're going to say stuffed derma, I'm quitting the game.
Rolled cabbage. Is that
that might be stuffed cabbage.
Yeah,
rolled
stuffed
cabbage?
cabbage,
It's like sweet and sour cabbage with like a log of meat in the middle of it.
No, stuffed cabbage is different from stuffed derma.
Oh, you're thinking of kishkas.
I do not like kishkas. That's what stuffed derma is. It's guts.
Right.
Yeah.
But
We didn't grow up.
Well,
eating
you can't give me buy, rent, or meh, three foods that I wouldn't even. I
fresh.
Forget leftovers. I wouldn't have gefilte fish. What was the other two?
Chopped liver.
Chopped liver or stuffed cabbage. First of all, little known fact for me on best leftovers ever. I'm almost completely vegetarian.
Oh, okay.
I was wondering. I was
Why?
gonna ask you.
Because I ate it all.
You ate it all.
I did. I ate it all. I didn't fake eat it either. And I just
and you enjoy, and you really genuinely
did.
look like
I
know
don't-
you're good.
I don't
You're a good
lie.
actress.
well,
but
but I don't
Right.
lie. Like I'm not going to get on a TV show and be like,
Yeah.
I love it, and be like
Yeah.
secret gagging. Like
Yeah.
my reactions to everything, like including the thing that I said tasted like a loogie.
Booger.
A boogie. Like,
Remember that?
I was like, oh, did you consider cooking this? I don't know. Just on a cooking show. I thought perhaps you ought to. I don't know. No, but we were never we loved the contestants and everyone did such a
Right.
great job. But, and occasionally I'll like really feel like chicken or turkey and have some. And so I'm not like a staunch vegetarian. I'm just not a big meat eater. I never really have been. And then I got this incredible opportunity. I mean, and the truth is I've been in this business for such a long time. You could put dog shit on a toilet paper roll. And if you told me I could host the show, I'd be like, I'll eat it.
Right.
So it's like, at this point, I'm so hungry. Should you
and
excuse the pun?
I didn't wonder because I thought you weren't being genuine. I wondered because I was like, I'm very picky and I don't eat red meat and there's a lot of stuff I don't eat. And so I was like, if I had to do that, I think you just like, there's no way I can't imagine somebody who eats everything. So I was like, there's no way she eats everything because who eats everything?
You know,
but then you just kind of have to get into it and do it.
You start, I think my desire, my need to be picky. I learned this the hard way. My pickiness is beat out by my need to be a TV star.
There you go.
That's
fair.
Hierarchy
that's
of
number
needs.
one.
Hierarchy
That's
of
number
needs.
one, right? So it was like, I could host my own show, but I have to eat veal, which by the way, I disagree with veal
as a concept,
on principle,
on a base level.
Yeah.
So like where chicken and turkey, I'm a little bit more like, okay, cool. There are like I disagree with, but I still was like, and I think if there was a season 2, maybe I would be like, could we not do veal? Because it's just like, we don't need to, but I don't know.
I sure hope there's a season 2 because it led to all sorts of leftover remaking in our house.
Oh my gosh, the waffle iron old potato is like, it's like I make potatoes so I could waffle iron them. I mean, that's why I made so I could it's life changing.
Hand to the flame. I'm gonna have to answer the question.
Yes.
Okay. Rent, buy, or meh.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because this is like the worst version of fuck, marry, kill because you didn't give me any that are.
We try to make it hard when we play this.
Okay.
And out of respect for you, we didn't pick like things that you really like because
like
then
an old bagel is too
you really
easy.
Like
make bagel chips out of an old
then
bagel.
you'd have to.
I was like, Lily's like, I like old bagels. Like, what kind of judgment call is that, bro? Like, I don't love old bagels. I like fresh bagels,
but
I will suffer through olds.
But you have to do like old against like a gefilte fish. You're taking an old bagel, so it's too easy.
A molded bagel. I'm taking out the bagel. A bagel that rats are crawling around and taking.
Okay, I want you to answer the question, and then I also want to know like what foods in your house, like what are like the classic foods that you grew up with your mom, like because we grew up eating gefilte fish and chopped liver,
all of
like
these things
like we eat
all
them.
The time,
So, but anyone who comes over for dinner is like,
Shai was like, this is so hard. These are so delicious.
I love you so much. So that's such a perfect, so I would, man, this is hard. I'm not even being silly. I'm getting gagged.
You obviously have to mad like a gefilte fish. Like you have to mad that. Like that has to be the worst of those 3.
No. It was the one that I think I could stomach.
It's the one that's because it's fish. I'm sorry, animal.
And if I could at least mix it, because I'm thinking of what I could do.
Like a liver's an organ.
I'm thinking about what I could do with gefilte, and if I could turn it into like a whitefish salad. You put in a little something.
You just eat it with lots of horseradish, and then you just you filter out the taste.
Put it on completely. Like a matzah. My mother used to make ufkafish de matzah, which is basically a matzah on fire. You put it in like a little hamburger burner square thing. You wet the matzah, you put salt on it, and then you cook the matzah over an open flame, and it's like a burnt, salty, and then you butter it.
Oh
And so
my
it's like
God,
a
that
salt-
sounds amazing.
That sounds amazing.
I had it this morning. I had 4 boxes of nuts, and I had it this morning. So I could do something with the gefilte fish, so I'd have to do buy on that.
Okay,
That would be
good,
one I would.
good.
Getting
And
somewhere.
then meh would have to be.
You're like sweating.
I hate chopped liver. I hate chopped liver. I think I would have to get rid of chopped liver. And then even though I don't really eat meat, I could like suffer through stuffed cabbage, a bite. And this, by the way, I'm talking single bites. I'm not talking.
We're not going to mail you this like the guy who mailed you the mask. This is you're free from this.
Okay,
now.
rude.
Okay,
but that's so I think I did it.
My mom would be happy to mail you all of these
believe
things.
me, my mom's going to hear this. She's going to say, "I'm going to give her," because my mom makes the old fashioned. She grinds it herself. She goes and picks the fish by name, and she grinds it, and then that gefilte fish actually tastes better on the 4th or 5th day. Not the first day. Fun fact.
It's got to ferment a bit.
Yeah, it's got to sink in.
Oh my God, you need to change the topic.
I could talk about this all day with you, but in addition to being a TV star, my opinion is that you are also a music star, and I know other people feel the same way, because your voice is absolutely incredible. From American Idol clips, which people can check out, to the brilliant and hilarious Deep Like, to the first thing I ever heard you realize when I realized you were a singer was when I saw you on Instagram lip syncing to the parody that you did that was on the Howard Stern show.
Oh, sure.
And I actually at first I was like, oh, that's so funny. Jackie Tohn's lip syncing to this singer. And then I put it together that was your voice singing Lady Gaga, as well as Lady Gaga sings Lady Gaga.
That's really kind. Thank you.
And you also do amazing musical comedy. And I'm a big musical comedy nerd. And what makes great musical comedy, I think, is the musicianship. And
that's what I was going to say. It's the songwriting, because it's not funny if the song sucks.
And the delivery, because the Howard Stern thing, which I cannot repeat any of the words here on this podcast, even if it's an explicit.
Are you guys gonna have to bleep me? I've been swearing.
No. We have an explicit podcast, but that one's. But that kills because you sell those notes, and I would love to know who your musical heroes are. Who are the people, funny or not funny, that inspire you?
What's really wild? I almost never get asked this question.
Which is weird, because I feel like
I think people don't really focus because of Glow and Leftovers. People aren't asking me about music that much, and it's totally a third of the spiel. In my heart, it's definitely a massive part of the thing.
I mean,
I just haven't been focusing on it as much lately, because it's not really my dream to be. It's my number. I love to sing, and I would love to write music, and I want to do that absolutely. But my number one goal is to write and produce and star in a half-hour comedy TV show. So that's what I really want to do. And I'd love to sing on that, of course, and really open up the whole toolbox and do all the things. But in the meantime, so who really taught me how to sing? Well, my dad's a musician, and he never made it super big, but it was in some bands in the 70s, and then had my brothers and I had them in the 70s, me in the 80s, in the 80. And so I grew up listening to a lot of James Taylor, but I wouldn't say James Taylor taught me how to sing. People that taught me how to sing is an interesting list. So I started really getting into female, indie singer-songwriter people in high school. And this woman, I started listening to this woman, Patty Griffin. And I thought and then she's a vocalist to end all vocalists. She's Kelly Clark. I just found out because I was out, but anyway, but I heard Kelly Clarkson say that Patty is her favorite singer. So she's the best singer's favorite singer. She is so sickeningly special. And I heard a record she made in the 90s, the moment it came out. It was on whatever the National Public Radio was in New York at the time. And I was obsessed with this record called Living with Ghosts. And she made it in her mom's hospital room, and you could kind of hear sirens and stuff. And she was just a woman, and she wasn't even that young. She was a woman in her 30s, just playing her guitar and singing to her mom. And these songs, nobody touches her. So I figured if I could do anything Patty could do, then I could get there. And then I was singing my whole life before this. So I was listening to Stevie Wonder. I was huge. Funny enough, I was huge into Michael Bolton when I was a kid. I was obsessed.
I mean,
who?
I mean, we're from.
I want to be your soul provider. Yeah. So if you could like do what Michael Bolton could do, you could sing. You could properly sing. Like you have soul if you could do what Michael Bolton could do. And so that he was a big one who taught me how to sing when I was a kid. But then as I was like really coming into my own, because again, I was an actor as a kid and singing here and there and singing with my dad, but I wasn't attempting to do it as a career until like maybe I was like 21, which is obviously still super young. But for me, for someone who started acting when they were 9, by the time I was 21, I had a decade and a half of another career under my belt. It was a weird childhood, but
and I don't think I had a job other than a Jewish summer camp by the time I was 21. So
that's right. That's right.
I'm
but
quite intimidated right now.
At least it taught you about Israel. So, I was working and I had development deals and all this stuff going on and acting. And then I realized like, I really wanted to make music. And, I became really close with Jason Mraz. You know who that guy is?
Yeah.
And so I listened to
saw him many times when we were in college, right, Lo?
Yeah, he's really special. And so I listened to his music. He was a close friend of mine. And, so I listened to him a ton. And it was another thing of like, well, if I can do whatever Jason can do, and I can't, and I can't do everything Patty can do. But the goal was like, get in those runs and get in those blues chords and get in. It's a whole different way of doing it. I think Jason and Patty both very outside the box while somehow gaining some sort of mainstream success. And then I got a little older and I got obsessed with a guy named Tim Christensen out of Copenhagen. And again, it was like, he's doing different things with his voice. I want to do these things. But I only sing like me. Like, I'm not one of those people, like, when you watch The Voice and someone's like, I want to know. And you're like, well, just sing. I don't know. What sounds are you making? What are these cat noises? They're activating my very deepest. So, but then you feel like, oh, if that person would just sing, it would sound nice. But like, but they're doing a thing instead. Yeah. They're like being affected. Right. So I'm not saying I did, because these 3 singers I just mentioned have no effects on their voice. They just do them. Right. And I only do me. But really, as far as like runs or chord progressions or where a song could go or where a voice could go, I learned a lot from, I would say, those 3. Oh, the Indigo Girls.
Oh,
favorite band of all time.
Favorite band of all time.
And I learned, and then I was in a duo for a while, so I learned a lot about music from the Indigo Girls. God, I'm enjoying thinking about this.
I mean, we could jam out on music. We're a big music nerd family. So
I'm gonna play Indigo Girls on my guitar when we're done here. I'm gonna I see my guitar and I'm
what's your go-to? Yes. Like a little Galileo? Because that's the best song, I think.
I love them all, but recently. So they have a record called Shaming the Sun. Okay. And they have a record called, I should look it up. Oh, Become You. And those are my 2 favorite Indigo Girls records. And I think they came out in like the late 90s, early 2000s. And Galileo and Closer to Fine. And
that's like Rites of Passage and 1200.
Yeah, like all those records were like were much older. Yeah. And that's what got me into them. I listened to all that stuff. I went to Lilith every year I could. And I was definitely that kid. I went by myself all those times.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, on purpose. I was like,
I know, but
leave me alone.
I respect that. I sing my girls' "Power of 2" as their lullaby. Life by the power of 2. And then I just cry,
like tears,
and then I cry while I sing it to them at night. But I can't.
The parking lot is empty. Everyone's gone someplace.
Becky, keep it together.
Pick you up and in the trunk I packed, cooler out a 2-day suitcase.
Well, I'm not gonna stop the podcast now because we're not gonna
drive way out in. But that's what I mean. That was like way out in the country. Oh, this is the best part. 5 miles out of the city limit, we're singing at your hands upon my knees. Oh, I love the Indigo Girls. Favorite band of all time.
That's amazing.
Me too.
Those are such
beautiful. Thank you for
diverse too, like different influences. So it's like picking and choosing from each of them. without copying them. Like you can be
Mhm.
inspired.
Oh no,
without
there's
copying.
no, because anything I
No.
make sounds nothing like any of the people I just made. And I'm sure the people who influenced Tim Christensen, he sounds like nobody else ever. So it wouldn't even be possible for him to sound like his idols.
That's awesome.
There was a band that came out a bunch of years ago that everybody got all hard over. And they sounded exactly like Led Zeppelin. And I was like, okay. But
It's like Shy's
Does
so critical of if
Well,
you're
I just
not
don't get
doing your thing. I feel like Shy, you pick up, well, that kind of sounds like so and so. So
well, I
I've already
don't.
heard
If it
that.
sounds kind of like something, it's fine. But if like your whole shtick is that you are exactly like Zeppelin and you're not a cover band, I don't get the point of you existing because I
Right,
personally
why don't they do Fool in the? Why don't you just do Fool in the Rain or
That's what I'm
Black
saying.
Dog
Like,
for us, right?
But then also, if you're a cover band, then that's a
Right.
different story.
So
God bless a cover band. I'm just saying you're not going to make like
Right.
radio hits as a cover band. Someone did that.
Right.
you're a songwriter. You I find it deep. Like I repeatedly watch it and send it to people. I'm like, you have to watch this. But we also know that you have written, I think it's like 100+ songs is what we hear from. Is that the lore around Do Re and Me, which is coming?
There's
on
only
Amazon?
one way to make it sound like the work I did on Do Re Mi wasn't a lot, and it's by thinking I wrote 100 when I only wrote 50.
Oh, okay.
God.
So
You only wrote 50, so then
for
No,
Do
but like
Re Mi.
next
normally, if
topic,
someone's like,
not a
"Oh,
big
did you
deal."
write songs for that show? What'd you write, 5 or 6?" And I go, "No, I wrote 50." And they go, "Wow!" But Shy comes in and he goes, "What'd you write?"
I've been telling
400?"
people
and then I have to be the
130.
loser that says, "Oh no, only 50."
And
Not impressive.
in Do Re
No,
and Me
a little
also comes a deep connection between us, which is that
I'm listening.
you work with the great Michael Scharf, whose brother is a dear, one of my oldest, bestest friends who's been on this show. Michael also, with Lily and Michael were in camp together. Michael,
Your favorite weirdo, Lo?
Yes,
He's one of my favorites.
He's
Boy, is he bizarre. Oh,
yeah. But like, since I've known him since I was 13, and I think he's been a weirdo for a long time.
Michael
is like, he can't stop creating things.
Michael is a kid who, ever since he was a little kid, whatever he was drawing, we're like, Michael, you're going to be famous. Like we went to his brother's bachelor party. And
it does not make sense.
And he brought this book of a show he was working on that like never came to fruition. But we're all looking at this being like, can we buy the merchandise? This is incredible.
No, it's insane. And it's sort of like how we started working together. I had nothing going on. This was like, he brought, "Sir, can I help you? Because I'm doing a podcast." And it's like, if you start embarrassing me in front of my friends, be cool. You just want to come on my lap. My fear is that you want to go OUT. Dang it. It is 5:01. He knows. I blew it by being late.
Does he have to pee or eat? Pee? Do you want to take him and we'll pause?
Yeah, I'll be back in 20 minutes.
It takes him 20 minutes to do a pee?
No,
How
but
small is that bladder?
Yeah, his body's very small. Come here, bud. Just sit with me and see if chilling can happen for a couple minutes. See if we can buy a couple more mints.
We all have dogs, so we get it.
We have dogs. Everyone loves to party. We have dogs. Our hearts are so full. I love Glenn. He's our number one best friend. So like singing, songwriting, as you could tell by that, there's a lot of different skills I have.
Yeah.
So
caring for small animals.
That was just one example of some of my skills. Cleaning, taking care of Glenn. All right, he seems to be fine for a second. I don't know. Well, it's trying by time. So anyway, Michael Scharf. So he came to me with Do Re Mi, and he was like, I was dating, we had a mutual friend that I was dating, and I did a one-woman show, and Sharfie came and saw the one-woman show, and I don't think he was in the comedy world. He's friends with all the, the comics, and I was in the comedy world as well, but I obviously made music too, and I truly think, I'm flattered that he was impressed enough with what he saw to say like, hey, we should make a show together. But I think the truth is the combination of that. Yes, he was impressed, but also that like, I just don't think he knew a lot of musicians. And he came to me and was like, well, we should try and make this thing. And neither of us had anything going on. So it's not like he would have gotten someone big and famous. And it's not like I would have either. So we both just like climbed together and scrappy motherfuckers, both of us. just hustling constantly. Mike and I worked on that show for years for nothing at the Casbah Cafe in Silver Lake, drinking tea and eating dried apricots for no one. No one was looking at it. No one was reading it. No one cared we were doing it. Nothing.
Wow.
And then one day, my friend Dave Schuler and I wrote a couple songs because Mike and I had written a couple episodes. And we were like, if we're going to pitch this around, and Mike, of course, had drawn the deck within an inch of its life, and it was gorgeous, and the characters were this, and it created a whole world. And I mean, the amount of work he put in. And then Dave and I did the songs. Mike and I were doing the scripts and coming up with the ideas. And I happened to show it to one of my best friends, who, again, I didn't even have the business acumen to be like, oh, this person's a mogul and I know her. Maybe I should ask her if she likes it. I was more coming from, she was the only person I knew with a kid at the time. And her daughter, Lincoln, was like 2 or 3, perfect age. The show is for like 2 to 5. And I was like, does Lincoln like this art or respond to these songs at all? And she texted me the next day and she's like, she hasn't stopped singing the songs or talking about the art.
Awesome.
She's like, she absolutely loves it. And then she was like, if you like want help with this in any way. And I was like, I don't really know what that means. And she was like, well, I would like, help you produce it or something, or come on board. And I was like, what? Okay. Just so scared it would go away. And just like,
you're like, I was just looking for a test audience. I'm okay.
I just was like, yeah, exactly. No, thank you. But this was before she did Frozen and stuff. So like, she was obviously, a person that people wanted to work with, but she wasn't Princess Anna yet. She wasn't like on this train, this train that we now see her on. And so it was kind of the perfect, most gorgeous timing of like Mike and I working for ages, me bringing my songwriter friend in, and then me bringing it to Kristen, and then Kristen bringing it to her reps and her people, and then starting to pitch it. And then it went from there. And Mike and I started working on it in 2014. We brought it to our production company, Gaumont, I think in 16, Amazon in 18, and started making it in 2019.
Wow.
And
when can we kids, so we're
September 2022.
So we were just talking about, amongst us, the siblings here, how Becky's full name is Becky Pamela Corman, or I don't know what last name you use right now. Let's say you use our actual still last name. Becky Pamela. Her Hebrew name is Bela Pessel, which
so we have Mike Scharf.
Real story.
We've got
but my mom's name is Bela.
And your
and
is Pessel.
And I don't know any other Pessels. I don't know any other Pessels. Or Belas. I've never met another Bela either.
Well, my mom is Bella, but it's Bila. It's Bella, Bila. Like it's not. Yeah. When she came here, it's Bella, but it's funny because when she was a kid, it was such an immigrant name. It wasn't like, now the girl on Twilight's name is Bella. Everyone's name is Bella. Every dog, every cat. Oh, come here, Bella. And then every salon is Bella. Everything is Bella. And when my mom came to this country, her maiden name is Rabinko, her parents' name. And she was so embarrassed. All the girls were named like Sally, Susie, Gail, Jan. And so she went by Binky.
Oh, wow.
No way.
Because she was like, I'm not going by Bella, my immigrant ass name.
Wow.
So Becky is named after our great-grandmothers, both of our great-grandmothers. And this is our segue into talking about what we as a family believe is one of the greatest episodes of a show we've seen in a while, on one of our favorite shows. We've all watched Glow multiple times through. Like I watched the first season multiple times. I was just like, keep rewatching it with people.
I keep almost starting it again, and I can't do it yet.
That's gotta be. Now that I know it's not coming back, I can't for the same reason. Like it makes, unless if you tell us if we watch more of it, it'll bring it back. Like
if we make our Netflix
at
go
the very
the
least, they owe us a movie. How dare they? The contract should be part of the terms of service should be that they at least owe us a movie. If you're not going to give us more seasons, give us closure.
Give us like an hour. At least an hour. Give me an hour. An episode.
I'm not yelling at you. I'm yelling at Netflix.
I'm agreeing. I strongly agree.
Okay.
So you were in this episode of this outlandish show that is telling the story of female wrestling in the 1980s, and there is this and it's a show that has an incredible amount of depth from the beginning. And in episode 6 of season 3, Outward Bound, where the gorgeous ladies of wrestling, go on a trip out to the desert and you get really deep. And your character, Melrose, who is amazing, who we love, who is always very funny and always very snarky, goes very deep and tells a story of her great aunt Pessel, which we immediately in our family were like, oh my God, that's our grandmother's name. This is incredible. We never hear about, you hear lots of Jewish names on television, but you don't hear Pessel. That's like, so we're all like, that must be real. This must be somebody's real story because no one's bringing out Pessel. And as the story has been told many times, this has a great, this has a deep connection to you. And so I know you've been asked a million times about this. So one, I'd love to know about just how that came about, but also as a Jewish person, what's it like playing a three-dimensional Jewish character? A theme on our show a lot is we talk a lot about the different Jewish characters we see out there, and we love all of them. But sometimes we're like,
of course,
like,
that's how anybody feels about the I mean, not anybody, not straight white men, but everybody else everybody else feels about like unrepresented people, marginalized people, and obviously Jews are very much both of those things. But what's interesting about being Jewish is it's, there's sort of this feeling like, and I think it's because we're so mighty, but there's this feeling of like, they're fine. Jews are fine. They got it. There's 17 of us left. I don't know where this thought, this theory that like Jews are so mighty and powerful and there's so many, and then like that they are the ones and we are the ones in power. I mean, in certain areas, I mean, I think we do well in entertainment, and but it's like get in where you fit in kind of thing. And, I just think about, I mean, just to go back to sort of the precursor to your question of why playing a three-dimensional character on television is so profoundly deep and matters so much to me is when I was on American Idol, I'd say 75% of those kids never met a Jew.
Really?
I was on that show, and one of the kids came up to me and said very kindly, not like weird, but almost like, Danny said you were Jewish. Is that true? And I was like, yeah.
That's like what it's like living in Spain.
Yeah. And I was like, yeah. And they were like, oh my God, that's crazy. I've never met anybody Jewish. What's it like? Mm-hmm. And I was like, it's regular. But, also when someone's being sweet and like wanting to learn, it wasn't like, I'm not trying to shut anybody down, but it was also like, it is that weird feeling of teaching someone about your underrepresented and marginalized culture where you're like, I'm thrilled for you to want to learn about it, but also like not quite, we're hearing that a lot these days where the marginalized culture is like, well, then learn about it. It's not my job to teach you about it. Right. And but part of me is also like, but if you want to know, I'm happy to answer whatever. And also I'm Jewish. And so like, I don't know everything about the holidays, and I want to get more of a Shabbat practice going on in my life, but really kind of more for the relaxing on Fridays of it all and having a day of the week that actually looks and feels differently than every other day of the week because I don't stop working and I don't stop going. And so even just for the sake of like settling into myself and reflecting in any way, that all sounds nice. Anyway, that's all the precursor long-winded answer to, it matters a lot to me to play a three-dimensional Jewish character. I don't think, growing up, I don't feel like I saw too many, although, this is sort of a bad word now, but the characters that I saw that I related to were in Woody Allen movies a lot. Because he's so Jewy. I mean, he's done some fairly unfathomable things, but as a filmmaker, when I was a kid and obviously didn't know any of these things before, that informed a lot of like, oh, this is, who else actually, it was like, those Jewish characters, but really funny is like David Wayne, like in Wet Hot American Summer. There's like there's something very Jewy about a lot of the things he makes. But that's just very, surface level comedy. And I think, I forget what it's called. It's Trans something. It's like one of my favorite shows of all time.
Transparent.
Transparent. I was like, really? I can't think of Transparent. It's truly one of my favorite of all time. But talk about three-dimensional Jewish characters. Get out of here. I mean, that Judith Light character where she's like, there was one moment in one of the scenes where she's like yelling at one of the kids so much. She's like, and you did this, and I can't believe you did this to me. And she's in the fridge and she's shouting at them. And she's, you know, if you ever do this to me, do you want some cantaloupe? And just I almost put the TV in the microwave. I was like, I get what, this is the TV. This is the writing I want to do. These are the shows I want to make. And then Glow comes along for me and I'm given this opportunity, this platform, this chance. And even before that, you know, Melrose had a mezuzah and someone was like, you know, Cherry Bang was always like, okay, Jewish girl, and this and that. Melanie Rosen. And I was like, all right, you fucking anti-Semite. Like, why are you going out of your way to be like, tell me, you know, I'm Jewish? And like, that sort of is how it is for Jewish people. So that when they wrote in, this is a long-winded answer, but I'm pretty passionate about being a Jew. But when they wrote in this Seder scene and this inherited trauma and why Melrose is so funny and chills, why Jews are so funny, right? My grandparents laughed through the attempted extermination of their entire family and friends and everybody. And of course my grandma told my mom stories like there was some levity at that time. You have to.
Right. Survival.
Can I just say quickly that I rewatched it today. And not because my reaction was not because I knew I was going to talk to you or any of that. Like I was just watching it and just like tears, maybe more so to do with like the last week or whatever,
yeah,
you know,
it's
the
hard.
news and stuff.
It's
just like
always
the tears.
Challenging to be Jewish, but especially when, you know, you sort of feel allyless.
And then that scene, the scene by the campfire is so well done. But I have to say that the scene that hits me really hard is you and Ellen Wong, who plays Jenny, on the rocks. When you don't get what she's talking about, that scene hits me so hard. Even because the other one I understand so deeply on like a you know, as a Jewish person, obviously, by the campfire. But I have lived the other one so many times here, being like a fish out of water in a place where like there's no Jews and stuff, where I have had to like kindly and then sometimes not so kindly tell people like,
oh, you can't say like Jew them down. We don't like that. That's not
and like
that's
a lot
a cute way to say get something for cheaper. Like we don't like
and
that.
like a lot of different ways, and have the other who's not well-intentioned and a good person and a friend be like, oh my God, just like get over it. and I think it's just really interesting that it's I don't know. We don't need to get into the fact that it's the Jewish character that's saying that, but I think even us, that can happen to the best of us. Like,
of course,
like, oh my God, get over it. And I think that happening, that scene, and then the campfire, and then coming full circle when like she has, like you guys do the group hug. I think that makes the campfire scene so much more powerful that the previous encounter, your character doesn't get
my character not getting that she herself is being racist.
Right. And that like,
isn't that the way you guys sound when you're like serving Chinese food? You're just like,
or just being like, get over it. Like, it's not a big deal.
And I'm your friend. Like if I thought that stuff, I wouldn't be friends with you.
Exactly.
Like, okay, but I don't want you to say it doesn't feel good. Yeah,
exactly. And I think that that's so well written. Of course it's well acted. Like, wow.
It's important. I mean,
that whole thing is so important.
The guts with which you deliver that role of Melrose means so much to people who see themselves in that character. And I think so many people who, like, I'm a almost 42-year-old like Jewish guy who was raised in Canada, right? Like I see myself in Melanie Rose, or in Melrose, because of that performance that you bring, and so it's really incredible. And we're
thanks. And I think thank you. And I think to the show's credit and the writer's credit, it's good that we got to season 3, right? Because if we hadn't, we wouldn't have known where Melrose was coming from, or why she was so angry, or why she was so edgy, and why she had to cover everything with comedy. And then when you're like, oh, my dad won't buy a house that doesn't have a basement or an attic in case we have to hide again, you go like, oh, there's some demons in there and fear. and overcompensating and insecurity and just feeling like an outside, just inherently in your bones, feeling like an outsider. So you come in so hot up top. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy of like, well, if you think I'm on the outside, I'm going to show you how on the fucking outside I am.
Right.
And it's like, interesting.
Yeah.
Well, we are so grateful for that show. We are so grateful for your performance. And again, once we heard Pestle, we were like, oh, it's like we're family.
We're family. Pestle was
true.
my mom's sister who didn't make it out. My grandma's sister who didn't make it out. She was too young, so she stayed with her parents.
Oy.
Mm.
Oy.
And
So
like you said, like you said, I believe on the on one of the podcasts that I think it was on Orthodox, like her name will live on now in an episode.
It's true, yeah.
Which is an homage to her.
And one of the things around the holidays we don't feel like we have, like, because we all have kids and we're always like, what do we watch? It's just that Rugrats thing over and over again.
Just constant on repeat.
And then the Ten Commandments, right? And the Ten Commandments isn't exactly the most Jewish version of the story, but having these moments, these really positive, deep moments for us is really valuable, because when my kids are old enough to watch it, this is going to be one of those scenes that goes that and school.
Oh, your kids are going to love the prostitute gigolo scene. It's going to be one of their faves. For them for life.
Okay, we know we're like almost out of time, but we're going to try to get a little more out of you.
Oh, you could get a little more out of it.
Oh, okay.
I came 30 minutes late and then walked my dog in the middle of the podcast. And everyone listening is, well, you do not have to cut that out. They can know what a piece of shit you've invited on your show today.
No, they know how excited we are. It's okay. So we want to play another. So now we're going to segue from the deep, amazing, wonderful sharing that you just did, and we're going to take a right turn into musical comedy because you have like delivered such great musical comedy and you have, again, like those great skills, but you're also hilarious. And one of the games we play on the show is called a comparathon. It was named by a friend of ours who actually runs another podcast, Chris Royce, but it's a bit that we do where we're going to give you things and you just have to decide either or as we go down the list. So if I were to give you, let's say we were doing Olipop flavors, I would start with root beer. Let's start. Okay, let's go there. Root beer.
Let's start with Ollie.
Root beer and orange cream.
You have to pick one.
This is the opposite of the gefilte fish thing.
Yeah. You just have to pick one.
Root beer is his favorite and orange
then I'm going to throw another
one. I never met
you.
an Ollie I didn't like. And I know that my best friend's favorite is root. I have to tell you, I find the orange cream, it's a problem because it's new, so it's my current favorite, but I don't know if it's my all-time favorite.
No, my current favorite.
You just have to pick between these two.
You just have to pick
between these two. But then I thought it was going to be brackets.
Yeah. Just so watch. So Ollie,
right, so, okay.
So root beer or orange? You're going
orange. Will make it to the next round.
Orange or cola?
There's different occasions for them. I like an orange cream in the morning. I like a cola with my dinner. But again, I think it's going to have to be orange cream.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so then imagine we went through all the flavors and then you decide who your champion was. Okay?
I would think, but there's a time for cherry vanilla. There's a time for cherry vanilla.
There's a time for cherry vanilla.
What's the time? We don't have that in Span. I don't know what this is.
Oh, so do you have any
beverage?
No, Lily, didn't you watch the content that Becky and I produce?
Do you not watch your own podcast?
I kind of watch it, but I don't know what you guys are doing all the time.
Oh, Olipop is a
drink
prebiotic soda that's like 40 calories and no fake sweetener and no nothing. And it's good for your guts and it's made of really healthy ingredients and tastes so fucking good that it is truly confusing. It's confusing. It's a confusing beverage. It's outstanding.
Becky and I put ice cream in our root beer.
Of course. Yeah, you guys are assholes.
Okay, so wait, what was the last one you said? Cherry vanilla? Is that what you said?
That's a flavor.
What's the occasion for that? When are you having a cherry vanilla?
Well, it's like, when do you want a cherry Coke? It's like, it's a nice, refreshing soda. Like if I'm having dinner, if I'm making myself a Beyond Burger and fries, I'll fuck with a cherry vanilla.
Just thinking a barbecue. I'm having a little barbecue. I want a cherry vanilla.
Of course.
So you would pair that with food, that one.
As opposed to vacuuming?
No, as opposed to like being a poolside drink.
I'm not a big just drink for a drink's sake person. I can't say I drink anything other than water throughout the day. It's an occasion where I sit down and I say, having an orange cream with nothing else.
With nothing else.
Oh,
without a meal.
It's rare. Also, I ration my ollies because listen, they're not cheap.
They're like $1 a calorie.
Yeah, I was like, don't say $1 a can, honey. Not even, yeah.
Yeah, no, so like
The best.
Okay. So wait, who won with cherry vanilla?
We're not
Wait,
even
Lily,
on the
we're
real
not-
game
Lily,
yet.
this isn't the
Lily,
real
this
game.
isn't the game. This
Lily's
is the
just joining us.
explanation of the game.
We need to be speaking
Oh.
Spanish for Lily to be following us properly.
Seriously.
Musical
That-
comedy. Okay.
It's
I
1:30 in the morning, guys. Give me
Oh!
a break.
Whoa, you're a fucking trooper. Sorry, give her a real
It's
break.
okay, yeah.
Try go on.
She goes to bed after us.
Okay,
But
fine.
Lily hasn't
I'm
even
just
had dinner yet.
saying, like, you know, which
Okay.
one of you is called Ollie? That's all.
I'm realizing in real time how long my hair got, and I'm like in a little bit of a.
Very
I don't know
nice.
what happened. Like I think it was like here 2 days ago. I'm confused. Okay, go on. Try. I'm ready. Thank you. You're a kind
Okay,
woman.
so musical comedy. I went through some current, some historical here. We're gonna do the same thing. Maybe if there may be things you haven't heard of or that you haven't
It's gonna be embarrassing, but let's see. Listen, I'm
but-
not. Before we start, my preface is I'm not fancying myself versed on musical comedy.
Uh-oh. Then this could be short.
This will
Well,
be really
you
funny.
never asked if I was versed on musical comedy. You just
I
bring
feel like
me
you
to
must
competition.
be.
All right,
You
let's give it a
must
whirl.
All right.
If
So
I
most
knew
of these
people
are
on this
known.
list,
Well,
you would
hopefully
know.
Yeah,
you
if I
won't.
know the list.
If you think, okay, so Alan Sherman, Hello Mudda, Hello Fada. That's your first one, right?
Right.
Right? Isn't Alan Sherman? Isn't that Alan Sherman? Isn't his name?
Don't ask me. This is your show. You should have Googled it.
No. Alan Sherman. Okay. Have you heard of the new show Girls Five Eva? The one with Busy
Of course,
Phillips and
of
Renee
course.
Goldsberg? Okay.
I have
so
a story off the record for after this.
Okay. Alan Sherman or Girls Five Eva?
Oh, Alan Sherman.
Okay. Alan Sherman
Because he's a
or
classic.
okay,
Right.
sure. Alan Sherman or the Spinal Tap Mighty Wind guys, Christopher Guest, Mike McKean, Harry Shearer.
100% Chris Guest.
Okay. All right. So Christopher
It's going to be
Guest.
hard to beat. So we're already at the winner, but go ahead.
Okay.
That's what I said to Shy. Shy and I took bets on who you would pick.
So Christopher Guest, or not always thought of as a musical comedian, but very musical Adam Sandler. But in his musical comedy, so you're
100%.
not going to him as like
It's
all
hard because I love the musical comedy Adam Sandler does. I think it's so much smarter than it seems on its face, and that in itself is so smart that you're like, everybody likes this. It's dumb, and it's like, no, dude. He's like, it's so good. But yeah, no, I mean, it's Chris Guest.
All right. So
Also, just the songs and Waiting for Guffman. Stool boom from the parlor to the pool room. Get the fuck out of here.
all right.
Okay.
All right. So Christopher Guest or Andy Yorma and Akiva of Lonely Island.
Yeah, not Lonely Island.
Okay.
Because listen, I prefer, we're talking musical comedy. We're not talking movies. Waiting for Guffman is my number one favorite movie of all time. So it's hard to say something else is musical comedy better than it. And also, I don't think The Lonely Island would exist without Christopher Guest. So you almost have to give it to Christopher Guest. But then, whereas I think Christopher Guest would exist without Alan Sherman. So, but I think as far as musical comedy is concerned, it is hard to beat Lonely Island. Like, I Threw It on the Ground is like one of the greatest. I'm on a boat. I mean, when they were doing those songs for SNL at those digital shorts, it was like it hurt.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is what's fun about the comparathon is that as opposed to Buy Rent May where you have to like drag something, this is really about you get to celebrate them. Okay,
you get to celebrate things.
All right, so now kind of contemporary of Lonely Island, and I'm going to use them as a combo here because I think they created a lot of the music for the show together. Rachel Bloom and Adam Schlesinger and Crazy Ex-Girlfriend.
Oh God, they've done amazing stuff. But I nary a candle held to Lonely Island or Chris Guest.
Okay, all right. So Lonely Island, or
I love Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, and I love Rachel Bloom.
Amazing. I mean, that show. I watched that. That was one of my discoveries during this.
I should maybe watch it again. Actually,
I forced Lily to watch it. Like I just sent her angry texts, and I'm like, Lily, you have to watch the show. You have to.
Now I just walk around my house humming Heavy Boobs.
Oh, of course, and like floating around on a giant pretzel. Okay.
Okay, so Lonely Island or The Flight of the Conchords, guys.
That's a hard one. I was waiting for The Flight of the Conchords to come out.
It's tough.
You know why it's tough is because Flight of the Conchords, they're way more musical. Like those guys are musicians.
Right. Does he have I don't know if he has an Oscar for that Muppet song, but I know he's nominated.
He does.
Yeah, like so it's hard because the Flight of the Conchords guys. There's a musical comedy trio in LA called the Cooties that I implore you to check out. And bonkers. They all went to Berkeley. The three Jewish friends from Florida who went to Berkeley and then now are in a trio comedy band, and it hurts my inside. They have a new song called The Plaza. They really, oh my God, What If I'm God? They're truly one of my faves. I think they're some of the best musical comedians in the game right now. But anyway, it's really hard between Flight of the Conchords and Lonely Island. I'm almost feeling like I want to lean, because this is the thing. Well, I don't know if
there's two more that are on purpose going to make it really hard, I think.
But if you gave me a Lonely Island record, I would listen to that in the car. If you gave me a Flight of the Conchords record, I would listen to that in the car. Whereas I don't know that I would for a Lonely Island record. Like that so goes with the visuals, and like I threw it on the ground, and like people making dumb faces and eating like a dirty sauerkraut hot dog. So it's like, what's so much of Lonely Island is also visual. I'm going to change it to Flight of the Conchords just for now.
That's okay.
Now, and I will say,
Hip Hopopotamus.
I was going to say Lonely Island. I mean, Flight of the Conchords. I do have their album, or I did.
Yes,
I do have it,
same.
and I've listened to it hundreds of times probably.
Now you're going to say Tenacious D.
They could do different. They really do different genres of music. They're very musical. So
they're musicians.
It's an album you can.
And that's what I love about the Cooties. They're proper musicians who happen to be disgustingly good singers. Like a lot of things, musical comedy is so exciting to me because you have to have so many skills.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh.
To do it. So it's fun. But anyway, go on.
All right. So I actually didn't put in Tenacious D just because like at this point I was like, I don't know if she's going to have this much time. So Garfunkel and Oates, Ricky Lindholm and Kate
Kate Micucci. I love Ricky and Kate. Flight of the Conchord.
Okay. And now Flight of the Conchords versus my personal hero. The only person I would be more excited to have on this podcast than Jackie Tohn.
How did you know?
Is Weird Al.
Weird Al Yankovic. Well, I think a lot of this wouldn't exist without Weird Al. So if he's a hard one.
But you don't have to make that proclamation.
Right. Because
who do it's your comparathon, not Sean.
Who do I enjoy?
Right.
I'm standing by my answer that out of all of these, who I enjoy listening to the most and consistently laugh at years later, it's Flight of the Conchords.
That would have been my answer.
And then I think a close second for musical comedy. Not who's the biggest genius of the group, because who's the biggest genius of the group, in my opinion, is Christopher Guest.
Sure.
But so it's Flight of the Conchords, it's Lonely Island, then it's all the music from the Chris Guest movies.
Right.
And then the rest I can do later, but that's my general feeling.
That's awesome. I feel like
I can't believe the D wasn't involved. I can't believe Crazy Ex-Girlfriend was involved before the D.
Well,
I've seen Tenacious D even in concert. I think part of it is that it is musical comedy. I know it is. I mean, I had to pick stuff. There's some others that left off, and also I would say like these are all ones where. I mean, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend is really on our minds right now. We all watched it. Like that one is like that.
It's in your personal Jewish zeitgeist.
Yeah. That one really hit us this recently. Although but yeah, Tenacious D is awesome, and talk about great musicians. I mean, those guys did I've seen a million different bands play Good Times, Bad Times by Led Zeppelin. They did the best cover. Talk about covers of Led Zeppelin.
No, they're like shredders. And Jack Black can sing.
Yeah. They did the best version of Good Times, Bad Times I have ever heard anyone play that wasn't the guys in Led Zeppelin. So
sick.
All right. So you're probably, you got to go. I mean, like we could hang out with you forever. We hope one day we'll get to hang out with you for real.
So delightful. I knew it would be.
We just want to throw out like there were a couple of other random things. You don't have to respond, but just we had like a list of other things we would want to talk about with you. So Becky, do you want to throw out?
I feel like also you don't want to I'm happy to kick it for another couple minutes and to hear the throwouts, but you don't want to I always feel like if we go on too long, like we think we're having fun, and then like the poor audience is like, I love her, but do we need to hear her for 2 hours?
Oh no, the worst is if it gets awkward with you. Like we're like, oh, we should have ended right on time. Otherwise, now we're
no, it's not going to get awkward with me.
I don't care about my audience. Don't worry. I just care about you.
Forget those
My
people.
friend just sent me a text of their ex-girlfriend's kid on a tiny train, and it filled me right back up.
So here's how we'll do it this time. I'm gonna go around to the siblings, and they're each are gonna say their handle, and we do a section of the show that is shout outs and recs, like Parks and Recs, but shout outs and recs.
Sure.
And instead of recommending like any random thing that we're streaming, we're all gonna recommend a Jackie Tohn thing because for people to listen to. So Lily.
Okay.
Where can people follow you, and what is your Jackie Tohn recommendation?
Okay, so you can follow me on the Twitter, which is Chichi ChiChiK Gomez. Jackie.
That's Lily's actual last
That's
name.
my handle. No, it's not my last name. My last name is Corman. I did not take my husband's last name because it's Gomez, so I don't want that last name. Sorry, I'm fine with Corman. No, I tell him all the time. I'm like, my kids are Gomez and Corman. I'm like, I don't want to be any. Cute. It is, but I don't. I'm so happy being a Corman. Like I don't.
Oh, of course, totally. Listen, you're preaching to the choir. I'm not changing my name. I'm also single, but I'm not changing my name.
I'm like, what is this? Like he can change.
Every dude I've ever dated has known that since word go. I'm fun. I'm a nice light time.
Exactly. I will not take your last name. And so,
but though I'm not going to roast my future husband's last name the way you just did, but I totally hear you.
I'm already married to him.
Yeah, but God bless.
And then I'm Lily Corman on Instagram if you want to follow me, but nobody else can. So,
because you're private.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can totally follow me. No problem. And then on Clubhouse and Lily Corman, and I will recommend your Armchair Expert interview because I thought that was super fun. Clearly you're chit-chatting with friends, and that's lovely to hear. And I just really liked where that conversation went because I learned a lot. And it was super interesting. So
it's so funny. It was really thanks. It was funny to be on that show because Dax has been armchair experting me for like a decade where like everything I say, he knows more, but he knows the right thing. And I'm constantly in my brain being like, I don't think that's exactly right. And now there's an actual fact checker. So it's like, it's nice that it's really cool. It was really great that he had me on. I had a great time.
That's fun.
All right, Becky, where can people follow you, and what is your Jackie Tohn recommendation?
You can follow me on Twitter at PaperBKPrincess. I don't really tweet. Not much to follow, but follow me. You never know. And we talked about it throughout the show. Or at least at the top of the show quite a bit. I really do want to recommend Best Leftovers Ever. It is my comfort food. And I also, that show is my comfort food. Jackie, if you were food, you would also be my comfort food.
I'd be a black and white cookie, my fave.
Really? Perfect. As Shai knows, I love a good cookie.
How do you eat your black and white? How do you eat your black and white?
Okay, it's actually I have a system. I actually like to eat it starting at exactly where they meet, working my way down. And when I can't get both in a bite at the same time, I go boom boom. I go like side side to get them both together. Side side. Yeah, and I always like to have a little black, a little white in a bite because the white's a little lemony and the black's a little like richer, and I need them both.
I told you it's her favorite cookie. She loves cookies.
Well, I love cookies. Chocolate chips.
I've been her brother for 30 plus years, and I learn something new every time I talk to you.
Are you mad? Is it the wrong answer?
Is that the wrong answer?
I fold mine in half because I need a little black and a little white in every bite.
I didn't think of that.
Cut it down the middle.
Becky's like
make a giant.
Well,
I'll tell you the thing I do is not such a hot look either because it's this tall and you have to wrench open your mouth throat. Well, is it? Because I get made fun of. People are like that. My mother was like, that's not very becoming. Like, well, who do you think I'm trying to impress in fucking Ben's Deli in Lido Beach? Nobody. But it gets to be like, because they make them big. It gets to be, so each side is like this thick, the whole cookie. It's like a cake. So then when you put it on top of itself.
It's just.
Oh, it's just a beast. Yeah. But I want no part of a black and white if I can't do black and white at the same time.
100%. 100%.
I have to
Connected
go find one
on many levels. Connect
I may have to
on
go
it.
get one tonight back.
So yeah, you can follow me at Pancake for Table, Pancake and the number for Table. I'll do all the end of the show stuff later. But so aside from recommending all of these things,
Wait, can I also just quickly recommend Deep Like on YouTube?
you.
I mean, I watched it on YouTube, but I mean, all your music in general, but Deep Like particularly. And I showed it to my very Spanish mother-in-law earlier this evening. And she was like, I don't understand what's happening. She doesn't speak English. She's like, I don't understand what's happening, but I'm loving this.
Why
Like,
would you show it to someone who doesn't speak English?
because I was like, the visuals are great.
It's still like tracks.
And I was like, this is about
right.
social media.
You guys believe in me so much more than I believe in myself. It is staggering.
Yeah,
Music
no,
your cheerleaders.
and we're sort of like
you.
this is it. You're in the family.
man.
Thank you.
We'll be cheering for you for things that you didn't
And
even think
we're
people were
super
paying
excited
attention to.
about Do Re Mi because we have kids, but also because we like.
Where do you think Lily's kids are going to learn English?
September 2020.
September
I mean,
2020.
Shut up. 21.
21.
What year are we? I almost just said, wait, is it September 22? Okay, September 2021. That was weird.
This
and
September.
real.
It's soon.
No, next.
Oh, I'm doing
22.
myself
This
proud
is
today.
2021.
Is it 2022 or is it 2021?
It's 2021 now, and then next year it's coming out in a year, Lily.
I didn't know. I've never done this good a brow. 2021. It's coming out. No, it's coming out now.
It's
coming
now.
out.
I thought you said 2022.
I did. I fucked up.
She said,
Oh,
all
it's
the 20s.
2021. It's coming out now.
Yes.
We'll fix it in the show notes.
Yeah, I'm very
Shauna.
excited.
Aside from
I
all
went
the-
to yeshiva with a girl named Shauna.
we so
Persian
aside
Jew.
from all of the other amazing things we recommend, I want to recommend A Futile and Stupid Gesture, which is a movie that I absolutely love and I think is like incredible, and I can't believe more people don't talk about. In that movie, you play Gilda Radner, and only for a few moments, but and I mean this sincerely. If there is ever somebody, a performer that had the spirit of Gilda Radner that is alive and working today, it is you. And all I kept saying, I mean, this movie is awesome. The acting is great. Everybody kills it. And then there's this part where you're Gilda Radner because they're doing the SNL thing, and I'm like, I want to see the Gilda Radner biopic
Me too.
with Jackie Tohn. So
Me too.
everyone should see that movie and see you just channel that spirit. But I think you channel that spirit in so many other ways. I hope that's a compliment, right?
Oh, massive.
I feel
Gilda's
like
gotta
that's
be a
like
thing.
yeah, to me,
A guy-
I think she's like the
I
greatest.
mean, she's the end all. I mean,
Yeah.
I used to play her VHS, her SNL Greatest Hits VHS when I was a little kid. I had a VCR in my bedroom. Not to fucking brag.
I was gonna say
That is a bit of
that's a big deal.
bit of a brag.
I guess I had the big bedroom. My brother had the small bedroom. Anyway, I had a VCR. But I used to watch Gilda's Greatest Hits regularly. And it was funny because when I auditioned for that movie, the audition could have really gone south because it was the most try-hard thing I've ever done in my whole life. I brought costume changes. I brought props. I was like, if I'm going to do
Go big or go home.
Emily Latella and Lisa Lubner and Rosanna Dana, and I mean, I got to bring glasses. I got to bring a book. I got to bring, Mom, I don't want to talk to you anymore, Mom. So I was like, if I'm going to do all of this, like, I'm going to, and I think this is a funny business where sometimes it's really attractive that a person is like really prepared and wants the thing really badly. And other times it's like a little cringe of like, it's just way sexier for a girl to walk in and be like, yeah, I don't even care. Do you guys have the audition pages? Because I didn't even print them. What's the character name again? And then like that person gets all the parts and you're like, I'm going to put my head in a microwave. Because I'm the person who tries. I try hard. It's what I do. And so the fact that like try hard is like a cheesy term is something that I've had. But I think I've really embraced my try hard over the years, and I'm into it now because I'm not going to not do that.
We are so grateful for it because we want to see more and more of you. Jackie Tohn, people can follow you at Jackie Tohn on Instagram, correct?
I don't get to say how to follow me and what I recommend of Jackie Tohn.
No. But I was going to say, like, I was just showing, I know that, but then I said, I'm going to say, what are your Jackie Tohn recommendations? And
I thought I was saying that as a joke. Why would I ever recommend something of myself?
Because maybe there's something we don't know about.
Well,
or maybe there's
I was being faux aggressive as a joke of like, I don't get to recommend my own shit. And then you're like, no, you do.
I
and
was
then I
making
felt
up
like,
for the
oh,
Alan
no.
Sherman thing where I for
Alan
a second
Sherman.
forgot Alan Sherman, and you were like, Google him, and I was like, oh, So
I do this very snappy, acerbic joke thing all the time, and I have to be careful. Like, I'm on your show, you Google it. Like, that's very
no, Jackie, that's how we talk to him. That's
how they
correct.
talk. Like,
if you talk to him, if you were any nicer,
I'll give you an example. The man fixing the drainage issue at in my postnasal drip outside my house, he came to the door and I gave him he gave me a tour of the house, showed me the work he did, and then he knocked again and he was like, oh my God, I didn't grab the check. Of course, no problem. Give him the check. A couple minutes later, I knocks on the door, he opens the door, and I was like, bro, can you leave me alone? So joking. And he was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I wanted to tell you your garage was open. And I was like, I don't know this man from Adam. I can't do my leave me alone bit. I scared the shit out of the guy who came to pick up the shit. I go, buddy, you got to leave me alone. And then I was like, nah, just kidding. And he goes, oh, God, thank goodness.
He's like having a heart attack on your lawn.
I can't do this if you don't know me.
Well,
you can definitely do it here.
Guys, it's a late in life lesson. I'm too late to learn this, please.
So what is the Jackie Tohn thing you recommend? Or maybe there's something you're specifically that you think people should check out, or something we didn't mention that you're like, oh, wait, you guys, I can't believe you didn't mention that thing.
I mean, I'd say check out my bat mitzvah footage because it's hysterical, but there's nowhere to see it.
But you're doing a thing about it.
We created an internal family server where all of us can watch each other's bar and bat mitzvahs and videos all the time.
No, you didn't.
Yes, we did.
100%.
We do. We have a family server.
Each other's bar
Are there only 3 Corman children?
Yes. But it's a family server. All of our home movies are on it, so we can just watch them at
and we
any time.
screenshot each other's bar mitzvahs.
Embarrassing stuff from them.
And then send it to each other.
Like when Naomi Wall's hair caught on fire.
Your parents, I feel, did a good job.
Our parents are pretty amazing. We love our parents a lot. We're very
so the Brooklyn dad and the Cuban Jewish mom.
But they told us growing up, they did say to us, they used to, we got yelled at, exactly the Judith Light thing you're talking about. But the exception we always had is if we were teaming up together. So they're like, you can do whatever you want, but the only crime you cannot commit is to go against your siblings. Like, you all must stick together. They're like, we will be dead one day, and you 3 will be the only people you have.
Like, literally the only lesson I remember from childhood is my mother saying, you only have your siblings. One day I'll be dead and you only have each other. It really impacts you. Okay.
But they also
the thing, I had almost the opposite childhood because, my parents are unreal and my brothers are hilarious. Everything was fine. There wasn't drama, but it was opposite in that my brothers were very athletic and I was very theatrical, and we weren't really encouraged. And my mom really regrets it. It's actually really kind of sad. It breaks her heart now that we're grown ups, and my brothers and I are friends. So we're close, but, we didn't have that as kids. I didn't go to their sports games. She would sooner drop me off at a friend's house because she was like, what does Jackie need to sit and watch this ice hockey game in the freezing cold and be uncomfortable? She's 7. What does she need to sit here for? So she was always sort of doing the very Jewish mother thing of letting me be elsewhere. And then when I would do plays, my brothers don't want to come and sit through but now she looks back and is like, no, those are your brothers and your sisters. You go and you watch their play. You go and you sit at the ice hockey game, and then you're just very cold. And then afterwards, at least we're all together.
I've been to a lot of ballet. All sports gave me a lot of anxiety, but I did go to a lot of ballet recitals.
You performed in quite a few.
Yes. And no, my sisters are amazing. They always supported me. Like I played music in college and they came all the time to the shows. And my sisters are
I will not forget. Can I just say, I will never forget, because Arcade Fire went to our university. They went to McGill. Mm-hmm. And so when they were just starting out, they play local shows at bars in Montreal where we grew up. And I will never forget my little group at school. We're oh yeah, we're all gonna go to Arcade Fire tonight. They're this amazing new band. And I was like, oh guys, my brother's band is playing tonight. I can't go. And they were like, oh, and I'm like, and actually it's a kind of rude that you're not coming to see my brother play at like a dive bar and you're going to like some random band no one knows. And they're like, well, we think they're going to be big because they're amazing. And I was like, well, my brother's going to be big, so fuck you. And like, I went all by myself to Shy Show, and everybody else went to see like Arcade Fire at a small club.
That is before they blew
That's
up.
love. That's love.
In seriousness, and my sisters are my best friends. I'm really lucky to be an older brother with these two, and we're really lucky that you're now part of the family. So I'm gonna
third best.
Yeah.
The third trimester.
And I'm going to quickly do the closing stuff, which is that you can follow us on at Friday Night Movie at FridayNightMoviePod.com. Our family supports the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, the Equal Justice Initiative, and the Asian American Journalists Association. The theme music, which kicks in post-production, because I still haven't figured out how to make it work in Zoom, is by What Does It Eat? And we thank so much our amazing guest, Jackie Tohn, for being here.
Thank you so much. Follow me on Instagram at Jackie Tohn, TOHN.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jackie.